I remember being 11 years old, sitting on the hot school bus, legs sticking to the fake leather seats, and rehearsing exactly what I wanted to say to my father when he arrived home that evening. When Dad came through the back screen door carrying his metal lunchbox, I confidently walked up to him and said, "Daddy, I'm ready to shave my legs." After having a moment of thought, Dad looked down at me and said, "Okay, you can shave your legs if you make the honor roll on your next report card. If you make all A's and B's, you can shave your legs." So off I went to my room to do my homework. Looking back, it makes sense that my single father, who is dyslexic and has never read a book in his lifetime, would incentivize my education in such practical ways. In fact, it may have been that very conversation that would later lead me to earn a PhD and become an English professor, and to make one of the biggest decisions of my life, to become a homeschool mom. As time went on, though, I would face many adverse childhood experiences, as several kids do who grow up in single-parent households, and I found myself gravitating towards books and school as coping mechanisms. But Dad always nurtured my love to read. He'd slip me a $10 bill and tell me to spend it all at the book fair. He'd let me stay up 30 minutes past my bedtime as long as I was reading. I'd hear the theme song to MASH playing on the other side of my bedroom wall, and I knew it was time to put my book away. As much as I loved school, though, learning didn't always come easy to me. I had to work really hard to be smart. My grades were great, but my test scores were low, and as a result, I developed severe testing anxiety. Fast forward to high school, when I had to take the ACT, or the American College Test, for the first time, I earned a 16 out of 36. I took the test again and earned an 18, which was just enough to get accepted into college. My first semester of college, I earned a 1.7 GPA. Thank goodness for that A in marching band. It kept me off academic probation. But what became clear to me was that I was a horrible test taker. I would receive an exam handed out by one of my professors, and upon reading the first question, my brain would just shut off. I felt like I was reading a foreign language. I called home several times, upset after having failed an exam. Dad was always encouraging and just said, "Keep doing your best." But in fact, because it was so test heavy, I failed college algebra 3 times. And after failing college algebra the 3rd time, I called home upset. This time, Daddy said, "Hon, it is time to move on. You have given college algebra your best effort, and now it is time to accept failure. Failure is okay as long as you're tired at the end of the day. And you're tired, and I'm tired." So the next day, I changed my major so that I didn't have to take college algebra again. My new major, however, would require a 21 on the ACT. I studied and studied and studied, took the test, and earned a 20. To say I was crushed over that 1 point is an understatement. I decided to take the test one more time, and out of spite and defeat, I didn't read one single question on that exam. Instead, I chose the second bubble down the entire test. That's right, the entire test, the answer was B. I earned a 20 again. It's hard to believe that that 1 point may have kept me from pursuing my career, but thankfully I had some amazing advisors who guided me and encouraged me. And though I may not have taken the traditional route through my undergrad, I would go on to earn a 4.0 in my PhD program. But that 1 point really did try to define my future, and here we are in the state of Tennessee doing the same thing to 3rd graders. Standardized testing begins in the 2nd grade and plagues students throughout the matriculation of their education. Most recently, 60% of 3rd graders did not pass the English Language Arts section of the Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program and must either repeat the 3rd grade, attend summer school, or receive ongoing tutoring. Perhaps the student failed by just 1 point. Standardized testing shows that the system has failed, not the child, but yet we're giving 9-year-olds the message that they have failed. The word standardized in and of itself implies that all students learn and test the same, but indeed, if we judge a fish to climb a tree, we will watch him fail. I grieve for the American school system that has placed so much emphasis on standardized testing. I'm afraid that we've diminished learning down to a set of multiple choice questions. The United States spends roughly $1.7 billion a year on standardized testing. In Tennessee, we spend roughly $9 million a year on standardized testing, and yet we can't retain our teachers because they don't earn sustainable living wages. Imagine redistributing those funds into better resources, smaller classroom sizes, better pay for our hardworking educators and administrators. Tom Wagner, author of Creating Innovators, says that anyone who has spent time in an elementary school classroom knows that children come in with unbound imagination, curiosity, and creativity until he or she learns that knowing the right answer is far more important than having a thoughtful question. The beloved Mr. Rogers says that children are not merely vessels into which facts are poured one week, and when it comes time for the exam, they tip themselves upside down and pour the facts out. As a college professor, my students come to me deeply seated in this exam mindset. I spend an exorbitant amount of time trying to retrain their brains on how to conceive of their education. Their intellectual curiosity has just been choked out of them because they're afraid of failure. My students see failure as fatal rather than allowing failure to be moments to pivot when they're tired at the end of the day. The longer I teach, the more I see that my students just are not inspired by education. They're not on fire to learn. My freshmen come in and just sit there and wait for me to deposit information. But my hope for my students is that they become knowledge seekers, not answer seekers, and that somehow I can tap into that sense of wonder that I know is in there. Poet William Butler Yeats says that education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So in order to push back against this testing framework and to keep my own children inspired to learn, I choose to homeschool. I believe in homeschool as social change and education reform. Don't get me wrong, though. When I chose to homeschool, I had a moment where I looked down at my daughters' beautiful little faces and I asked myself, do I really love you enough to try to learn algebra again? Homeschool allows me to nurture my children's imagination, curiosity, and creativity without a prescriptive curriculum that is designed to teach to a standardized test. And it's not that I'm not assessing my children, it's that I'm not assessing them with a series of multiple choice questions. My children are learning and excelling at their own pace. We are doing a lot of nature-based learning and studying interesting topics like architecture and sustainability. I love that my 9-year-old is into architecture. And my 5-year-old, well, she's into demolition and destruction. So I'm really thinking they might go into business together someday. But the one point in education that really matters is that we treat learning as if it's never done. The one point that really matters is not the 1 point that I did not earn on my ACT. It's not the 1 point that the child did not earn on the TCAP. Again, the 1 point that matters is that we treat learning as if it's never done. So if you are like me and you believe that that one test point is pointless, I encourage you to homeschool. I understand that I'm in a unique position to be able to homeschool and to maintain a career. But families, just know that you can nurture your child's curiosity and creativity at home. And you can de-emphasize standardized testing at home. Homeschooling has gained quite a bit of momentum since the pandemic. So thankfully, a lot of the stigmas that are associated with homeschool are slowly depreciating. Like, I did not leave my basement this morning to give this talk. We aren't churning butter. We aren't wearing bonnets, but instead we are going on edible plant hikes led by someone with a master's degree in botany. We are attending Native American powwows and having tribal makeup done by a local Indian artist. We are holding meteorites that are billions of years old and learning about them from someone who holds a PhD in astrophysics. We're investing in the arts and going to museums and plays and symphonies. So I believe in homeschool as a social change. If you're like me and you believe that the one test point is pointless, I encourage you to homeschool. That's what my dad did for me. He may not have ever read a book in his lifetime, but his child would go on and earn 3 degrees in English. I understand that not all families can make this happen, but my point is this: homeschool if you can, school at home if you can't. I'll leave you with this. As the philosopher Confucius says, if you want to plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you want to plan for 10 years, plant a tree. If you want to plan for 100 years, educate children. Thank you.